The April 4th, 2018 meeting of the Board of Education is now called to order. Please stand for the invocation. O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance, stir us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. The pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 2.03 is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion is approved. Item 2.04 is establish agenda order, and the agenda stands as written. Item 2.05 is recognitions, and this is the month of the military child. So we have representatives from the United States Army and the United States Navy.
Yep.
So you could.
Fantastic. And I'll begin if I may.
Yes, please.
Fantastic. As many of you know, April is a month of the military child. And today we are pleased to recognize the partnerships that help us help thousands of military-connected children throughout every level of our school system. With us today are representatives from Fort Meade, the United States Naval Academy, and Naval Support Activities, Annapolis. Also with us is Broadneck High School sophomore Winona Jessup. They are going to offer brief remarks in a minute, but I'd like to highlight just a few of the things, a few of the highlights of our work in this area. First, as we seek to elevate all students and eliminate all gaps, we need to recognize that military-connected children are a unique population with unique needs. They face things other students do not, most notably, frequent transitions between schools. Their ability to adapt to present and future changes deserves our respect and admiration. We are privileged to work on a regular basis with school liaisons from both the Army and the Navy, and we seek to support these students. For example, Fort Meade is the nation's platform for intelligence, information, and cyber operations. The base is participating as a partner in the new AACPS cyber curriculum through a DODEA grant. MIDS for Kids is the largest service project at the Naval Academy, with hundreds of midshipmen participating in our elementary and middle schools each semester and volunteer hours totaling in the thousands. The Saturday Scholars Program is a 6-week tutoring initiative hosted twice a year with service members helping students in grades 2 through 5. The Partners in Education program helps military units adopt an area school for a variety of volunteer opportunities. NSA Annapolis is currently working with our student leaders in CRASC on an initiative to develop ways to welcome military-connected students who are new to AACPS. We are proud to partner with the Army and Navy on these many and other ventures. I'd like to ask representatives from both branches of the military to come forward now and say a few words.
Well, good morning. Superintendent Dr. Artolo, President Hummer, Vice President Gillibrand, and other members of the board. I want to thank you for recognizing April as the month of the military child. As you're aware, our Naval Academy family boasts many military children. I certainly grew up as a Navy junior. We don't like to use the term Navy brat anymore, so it's just Navy junior. And now as a parent of 2 daughters, I have seen the military child experience from 2 viewpoints. And I certainly have very vivid memories growing up and walking into that classroom at a new school, not knowing anyone, and feel like every eye is upon you. But I remember more vividly the kindness that was shown by students, teachers, and administrators in welcoming me warmly to that new environment. And I can tell you it didn't happen every time, but when it did, it made all the difference in the world. And so I truly appreciate the partnership that our military community has with Anne Arundel School System in ensuring these smooth transitions, challenging educational environments, and facilitating our students' journeys to greatness. So thank you very much for everything that you do for us.
All right, thank you, sir. Good morning, Madam President, Ms. Gillian, Dr. Arlotto, members of the board. Thank you very much. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Eddie Perushibuter. I am the battalion commander of the Headquarters Battalion for the U.S. Army Garrison at Fort Meade, representing Colonel Rickard, who unfortunately is not able to be here today. He's called for business in Alabama. But today, he asked me to present some remarks and really express our appreciation for the incredible partnership that our school liaison and was able to provide for our 7 schools that are on post. A lot of folks don't know that, and especially our military members that come on to Fort Meade for the first time, that it's not unique but rare that the 7 schools that are within the Fort Meade compound are Anne Arundel County schools, and we absolutely 100% appreciative of all the support you showed to us. One of the first things that when we first came onto post, I was really surprised that we did not have enough engagement from the military side. Again, just like you mentioned, Fort Meade is the nation's platform for cyber intelligence and information operations. Probably one of the world's highest concentrations of PhDs in mathematics, computational science. There's some serious business that happens at Fort Meade. And it's just astounding me that within walking distance, we should be absolutely supporting in a more direct fashion, within walking distance, the schools on post. And so really proud to say that Colonel Rickard has employed NSA, U.S. Cybercom, military units partners, and of course with the engagement of schools, bringing that together. And again, most notably, the incredible support, and we could never receive the DoD cyber grant without the expertise from the board. So we want to say thank you again. Last but certainly not least, I get the distinct pleasure of introducing one of our Fort Meade youth. Again, Ms. Wyona Jessup is a sophomore. It's our Fort Meade Youth of the Year. Just like Captain has said, and myself, again, I'm a father of 3 children, 7 moves in 21 years of service, 4 of those with my young family members. It's difficult every time. The military brochure says, the moves is going to be an exciting and wonderful experience. It's not. Okay? For the record, it's not. Yes, there is. Yeah. It's most difficult. It's most difficult on our families. That's the bottom line. So thank you very much for recognizing the unique experiences. But without further ado, we hear it from Ms. Jessup, because she's gone through it herself, and she will explain the good and bads and all the good stuff that comes with it. So thank you.
Good morning, President Hummer, Vice President Gilliland, right? Okay, and board members and Dr. Arlotto. My name is Wyona Jessup, and I am a military child. Currently, I am a sophomore in high school and attend a performing and visual arts program known as PVA. Before moving to Maryland, I attended schools in 3 separate states, all bringing new pathways to learning, as well as new environments. One thing that had not changed, though, was the acceptance I was met with from each state going to a new school. The first state I lived in was North Dakota. I struggled in reading, math, writing, and tended to fall behind in English. So I was brought to a separate class that allowed me to build those skills at my pace and gives me the opportunity to catch up. Everything about my learning environment was warm, just slow-paced. After about a year and a half, I moved to California in the 3rd grade. My 3rd grade teacher, Mr. Randall, was one of my favorite teachers because he was honest but caring and always encouraged us to do things and try new things, unless, of course, we probably shouldn't. California was a shock compared to the slow pace in North Dakota. Instead, they tried to expand our education in every way they possibly could. In art, we would learn new creative techniques to paint, draw, and sculpt. In music, we would sing songs from around the world and learn about their origins. In our science class, we would raise butterflies from caterpillars, and during our English and math instruction, we would have open conversations as a class to build off of each other's ideas and ways of thinking. They even began to teach us how to be good examples and leaders to younger children by assigning us younger students to do projects and play with once a week. Sadly, after a year, I had to move to Texas, which meant I had to leave my best friend behind, as well as the school I had learned to love and enjoy. In Texas, the environment was entirely different, and it was beginning to feel like my life was like Play-Doh, something that was easy to mold but also just as easy to crush again. In school, we had to say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, walk with our hands behind our backs in a straight line, and we're on a schedule for everything. In Texas, I had begun to fall behind in math as well, because there wasn't enough time to teach everything in the curriculum and slow down for those who struggled. Not only that, but our classes were large, making it challenging for the teachers to help every student that did need help. I went from a free and expressive environment to one that seemed to want to fit you in this perfect box. It wasn't long until after I had to leave and move to another state. We were stationed to Maryland in the middle of my 4th grade year, where I was again thrown into a new environment. Maryland was also diverse like California and encouraged you to branch out into different educational experiences. We took Mandarin and robotics and were given opportunities to follow our interests in nearly every subject. By 6th grade, I began the violin and progressed at it very fast. In a sense, it became the embodiment of my expression, and also something that is still teaching me the importance of consistent patience and practice, even if you sound like a screeching cat for a good year. Today, I attend Roanoke High School for their Performing and Visual Arts program, where I receive a thorough arts education as well as a lesson once a week from a professional teacher. Not only that, but I and other performing and visual arts students are given the opportunity to explore different avenues of art 2 days a week after school to learn about their different forms. I currently am taking an electro rock course where I have the opportunity to play violin, electric violin, as well as work with other professional musicians brought in to teach us new skills and how to use them on our own instruments. My mom recently left the Army to work as a civilian for the military, so we could gain more stability now that I'm in high school and before I know at college. I will miss moving and meeting new people, but we all must learn to branch off into our own paths. The main takeaway I have gotten from being a military child is that I am resilient because no matter where I move, where my parent is stationed, I will survive, thrive, and keep going through the support of my family, friends, and education. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. I know our liaisons are staying in the back. Would you come to the microphones and introduce yourself so our board and the public know who you are? Because many of our board meetings do so much work behind the scenes. Would you just come and introduce yourselves, please?
Good morning. Carol Chavani, NSA Annapolis, School Liaison.
Sarah Bonise, School Liaison, Fort Meade.
Tashina Andra, School Liaison, Fort Meade.
Item 2.06 is Educator of the Month, Mr. Butcher.
Thank you. Since the 1970s, the Autism Society has been celebrating April as National Autism Awareness Month to highlight the growing need for awareness and acceptance of autism. The United States recognizes April as a special opportunity to educate the public about autism and issues within the autism community. So what better month to honor an educator in our school system who is a dedicated teacher and the department chairperson of alternate curriculum classroom at Severna Park High School. The alternate curriculum classroom is designed for students with moderate to severe disabilities who are not able to assess the core general education curriculum without significant modifications. As department chair of ACC, Cheryl Vineyard provides these modifications, and the results are student success. She differentiates instructions for her students using prompt hierarchy as needed and fades prompts as her students master objectives. She made sure staff members are updated on behavioral plans, the latest teaching methods, and technology. She works with challenging behaviors and initiates plans to safeguard students. Cheryl provides structure in the classroom while at the same time showing empathy and care to every student. Through Cheryl's efforts, her students can transition into the community as independent adults. Ms. Vineyard maintains good relationships with the administration, other teachers, teaching assistants, and temporary support assistants. She always makes her staff aware of changes in protocol and makes each and every support person feel they are a valued addition to the ACC program. She always conducts herself in a professional manner while conducting IEP and autism waiver meetings. She reviews data, brainstorms with staff, and implements changes to help students be successful. She initiated an awards program for seniors, and she honors every student in the ACC program. Ms. Vineyard reaches out in the community and maintains good relationships with local businesses that offer services to her students. Some students have even gone on to having paid positions in the community. She encourages all of her students to be involved in the Unified Sports Program, which is a fast-growing initiative that brings people with and without intellectual disabilities together on the same team to compete. Cheryl Vineyard, in your leadership role at Severna Park High School, you always look for the strengths in each student and you challenge them to achieve as much independence as possible. You richly deserve this award for all your efforts and dedication to your students, and the Board of Education is honored to recognize the Educator of the Month for March 2018? Congratulations. So congratulations. I'm presenting you with the certificate and your bell.
Thank you.
And we have to ask you, how did they trick you to get you here today?
They told me I was coming for a picture, but not this. Thank you.
It's my first time doing this.
No problem. Great.
Who's here with you today?
Looks like my family's here, and I think I saw my department chair and my assistant principal here as well.
All right, could the family please stand?
And families, stick around, and we're going to take pictures in just a couple minutes. So, item 2.07 is Employee of the Month, Ms. Sasso.
Career and technology education is a term applied to schools, institutions, and educational programs that specialize in the skilled trades, applied sciences, modern technologies, and career preparation. For students, career and technology education provides benefits beyond the diploma. It offers students an opportunity to get a head start on their career, as well as post-secondary education. The teachers at our Centers of Applied Technology do amazing things in getting their students ready for their career in adulthood. But let's not forget the behind-the-scenes players that make our technology centers the success they are. The central office staffers who dedicate each workday to the success of the department and to career and technology in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. And in the midst of it all is our Employee of the Month for April, Administrative Assistant Maureen Kaskowski. Maureen arrives each morning with a smile and readiness to take on whatever the day may bring. Her knowledge of budget and accounting process keeps the entire department on track. In addition to regular budget items, she also manages numerous grants. Maureen is tasked with keeping 4 content areas straight, and she accomplishes this task with ease. She works with staff and teachers in the school as well as central office to keep the program moving forward. Her record keeping is incredible, and she's a great asset to the team. Maureen is always willing to jump in and help. She can be approached anytime with a question or a need, and she willingly does what she can to assist. Her eagerness to help extends to others outside of the department as well. "Let me" is a common Maureen statement. Maureen's great smile and sense of humor keeps her department running smoothly. Her positivity is contagious, and her can-do attitude is admirable. We are told that the office is just not the same when she needs to take a day off. The most amazing part of Maureen is that she's consistently wonderful. There has never been a day that she has not performed her job with a high degree of professionalism and a great attitude. Maureen Koskowski, you have dedicated your professional career to Anne Arundel County Public Schools for 30 years, 13 of which have been here at Central Office. We understand that you are on the greener pastures, and we wish you all of the best in your retirement. So on behalf of the Board of Education, the students, teachers, and staff of Anne Arundel County Public School, congratulations on being awarded the Employee of the Month for April 2018. Can you please come forward?
I know. They keep secrets from me all the time in my department. Okay, what did they tell you to get here? I know. Isn't that horrible? That was another trick. What did they tell you? What did they tell you? I had to bring a folder for Deb. Oh, okay. So now maybe you can have Deb pay for it somehow. There it is. Yes. I'll get her. What family's here for you? My son Stephen, my husband. Did he get to us? Where is he? Over here. Okay. And a couple of grandchildren, Lee and Jimmy. Well, we would like to present you with this certificate. And from now on in retirement, if you want the children or the husband or anybody to respond to you, that's it. And it's not the dinner bell. Thank you. Thank
you. And I also believe that we have a whole crew that came down from upstairs to be here to celebrate as well. You see all the administrative staff from upstairs came out too. Item 2.08 is Volunteer of the Month. Ms. Cole.
A notable African proverb wisely states, "If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together." Our esteemed Volunteer of the Month, Mr. Bruce Saylor, has shown his understanding of this concept by constantly supporting the Center of Applied Technology South and its goal of increasing business partners, promoting students' certification, and ensuring that students practice employability skills. Mr. Saylor is a daily volunteer at CAT South, and according to Principal Joseph Rose, he donates both his time and materials to the carpentry program at this school. Mr. Rose also shared that Mr. Saylor measures himself to a high standard and works with students individually for extra support, offering assistance with class project, new instructional skills, and creative design. Mrs. Rosaria Jablonski, Department Chair of Construction Trades, echoes Mr. Rose's commendations of Mr. Saylor as she states, students listen to his gentle advice and they watch him carefully as he demonstrates the construction skills that have been taught in the classroom. As owner and chief operator of the construction business, Mr. Saylor models career readiness and employability skills with the students of Cat South by constantly punctual, making connections between industry and instruction, supporting experiential learning and student projects, and maintaining a positive, encouraging, and professional attitude. Principal Rose has observed that Mr. Saylor provides direct evidence of the importance of program certifications and how students can excel in real world of life after high school. In addition to the wealth of support that Mr. Saylor continuously provides to Cat South students and classes, he also collaborated with his son and other family members to design a courtyard and support the Cat South School Beautification Project. School leaders have called Mr. Saylor's value of scholarship and service contagious, and they agree that his selfless time and patience dedicated to the students is above and beyond the call of volunteer. Mr. Jim, a career and technology education teacher who has worked closely with Mr. Saylor, has illustrated the impact of his service with powerful statements. Bruce has a way with our kids, lending compassion and making each of them feel as they are the most important person in the room. He truly makes a difference at the center of Applied Technology South and in the lives of our students. Mr. Saylor, we thank you for your constant commitment and dedication to the students, staff, and school community of Center of Applied Technology South. It is because of the dedicated volunteers like you that our students can go far. For your presence and support are a constant reminder that they have never go alone. Would you please come forward, and we'd be pleased to honor you with our Volunteer of the Month. And how did they trick you to get here today?
Well, apparently we're getting a new planer. We are still getting a planer, right? Yes, they told me I had to tell them about the program and the tools we need. We need tools.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
That's how they got me.
And who came here?
Well, I have my beautiful wife and my two wonderful children, and they went through the program also, which has inspired me to volunteer. And it's a lot of fun. The kids are great, the staff is wonderful.
I'm sure. Well, we'd like to thank you, and I have the honor of giving you this bell and this certificate, and I would like for you and your family to stay out here and take some pictures.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 2.09 is school and community highlights. Does anyone? Ms. Cole.
I was able to attend the debate for a future student member of the board, and I was very impressed by the three candidates, and I can say that the reputation of this position will not only be upheld, but even lifted possibly. So.
Mr. Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam President. I had the privilege of attending Severna Park's Rock and Roll High School, Rock and Roll Revival. That was my first time attending that. I was a little disappointed because it reminded me of how much I missed Mr. Mister on the radio. So, yeah, a little guilty pleasure there. Band was fantastic performers, an incredibly talented group. Great seeing that. Now my own kids have required that that's going to be an annual event for us, going over there to see. But what was the best part of my visit? That was my first time inside the brand new Severna Park High School. Just a beautiful facility, and gets me excited about that investment that we're going to be making in Crofton, the new old mill, and hopefully what we see down the road with the investment with the help of the federal government in the new Meade High. So I can't wait to see what those buildings look like and what the kids in those schools will be able to put on with their new facilities. Thanks.
Ms. Corbett.
I just want to highlight something happening in the community at noon. We're not going to be able to go because we're up here, but it is the 50th anniversary of the death of Martin Luther King. And there's a celebration going on down by the Arundel Center at noon, I guess, today. And I'll just leave you all with one of my favorite MLK quotes, that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter.
For celebrating the month of the military child, earlier this month, Dr. Arlotto and I visited 4 of our schools on Fort Meade, Pershing Hill, MacArthur, Manorview, and West Meade Early Learning Center, and that was great to see our schools in action and all they're doing with really a very special population of students who come in with some unique challenges and great experiences to share with each other. So it was wonderful to see all of that. Also on the 24th, so since our last meeting, was the day when there was a number of student led activities in our schools in response to the Florida shooting. And I just want to applaud how our students handled it across the board. There was such a variety of ways that schools and students represented it, and I thought everyone handled it very respectfully with each other and with honoring that. And so I applaud the students and the administration that helped those things take place. And then now we have a very special announcement. Anne Arundel County Public Schools has been recognized with a national award for its intentional focus to increase the 9th grade promotion rates for high school students. The school system is one of 5 across the nation with student populations of 20,000 or more to earn a first place Magna Award from the National School Boards Association and its flagship magazine, the American School Board Journal. There are over 13,000 school districts in the country, over 300 of which have 20,000 or more students, and only 5 schools were recognized, and we were one of them. The award honors districts across the country for programs that break down barriers for underserved students. This is work that is done behind the scenes with a quiet but determined and passionate focus on meeting each individual student where they are, says Superintendent George Arlotto. It is, however, work that is critical to our ultimate goal to get students to the place where they earn a high school diploma. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of hardworking employees involved in this initiative in some way, and it is incredibly gratifying to have those efforts recognized with this award because it reinforces the fact that we are doing the right things by children. AACPS launched its initiative 3 years ago, putting a laser-like focus on students entering 9th grade. The school system looked at 8th grade attendance, referral, and academic achievement data to establish early warning indicators for students at risk for being unsuccessful in 9th grade. That examination found that students on the indicator list were disproportionately poor and from African American or Hispanic backgrounds. AACPS implemented and enhanced strategies to provide differentiated supports based on student need. It also redesigned meetings of high school principals to help create and augment structures necessary to support all students. These structures continue to build leadership capacity and strengthen partnerships with central office staff members. As the 2016-2017 school year got underway, AACPS identified nearly 1,600 incoming freshmen across 12 comprehensive high schools, and also Chesapeake Science Point, the Phoenix Academy, and Mary Moss at J. Albert Adams Academy. Through the work of the intentional focus, nearly 86% of them entered this school year as sophomores. System-wide, nearly 96% of all 9th graders last year earned promotions to 10th grade, putting them on a more solid path to graduation. These Magna Awards winning districts are examples of how public schools all over the country are making sure each of their students gets the support and services they need to succeed in school and life, says Thomas Gensel, National School Boards Association Executive Director and CEO, on announcing the winners. All 18 winners are found in the April issue of the American School Board Journal, and members of the board and Dr. Arlotto will be going to the National School Board Association convention this weekend, and where we will be awarded there on the national stage. So we're very proud of this and very proud of our team who's been putting this in place and the hard work that they've been doing. Okay, sorry, no CAC report. Item 2.11 is the PTA report.
Hello, guys. I'm very unpersonable here. I would first like to thank all of our military families for their service because they're amazing. Without them, I don't know, we could say a lot of things, right? I have several announcements as we're closing up the PTA school year. We have Founders Day on April 20th at the BWI airport. And we also have extended the deadline for submitting forms to April 13th. The forms are online, and also if you contact us, we can email you the forms and you can submit them. We also have, if you're not attending, we also have forms for Volunteer of the Year, and also other President of the PTA award. So you can nominate your officers for one of those awards. Also, Maryland PTA has sent a compliance letter to all of our Anne Arundel County PTA schools, asking them to please send any forms that are missing. And of course, if they need any help, they can contact us at Anne Arundel County PTA or the Maryland PTA. You can email us or call us, and we will try to help you get up to date. Because once you don't comply, you lose your status, and it's harder to retrieve your PTA status. So we're trying to get ahead of it before it gets bad. We also have very important meeting next week on April 10th is our election meeting. We do have several people running for our positions that are open, so I'm very happy that people stood up to the plate to help us out, as I believe the PTA is doing a wonderful job in the schools, and we always need that extra help and support. So our meeting is at 5:30 to 6:30. If anybody's still interested in any of these positions, we do have president, vice president, we have treasurer, and I believe reflection chair. If you're interested, you can email me and at president@AACCPTA.org, or you can come to our meeting on April 10th and submit your name to voting. And just one last thing, I would like to congratulate our scholarship winners. We had two. Maya Whitley from Annapolis High School. She was awarded the Phoebe Apperson Hartz Scholarship, and Jessica Thompson from Southern High School awarded the Kenneth Lawson Scholarship. And they will both be honored at their schools and given their awards that day as well in front of their schools. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Holler. All right, item 2.10 is the PIAC report with the Parent Involvement Advisory Council.
Good morning, Dr. Arlotto, President Hummer, and members of the board. My name is Mia Hunter-Willis, and I'm here to share with you what the Superintendent's Parent Involvement Advisory Council has worked on this school year. Our chair, Carrie Petz, and our vice chair, Aisha Baum, they send their regards. They were unable to make it here this morning, so I will share their comments. PIAC is a group of countywide parents and guardians who are dedicated to supporting and encouraging family involvement in our schools. We meet 6 times a year, and in each session, members are educated about topics of interest and importance throughout the county. Afterward, we have an opportunity to share with each other various events and ideas that are working in our different clusters. This group is an amazing asset to our school system, and our efforts to connect directly with families keeps us uniquely connected with both the school board and with all of our different families throughout the county. And also, we're noticing that these activities are well received and quite beneficial. In October, the group met for orientation planning for this current school year. And since we are selected for 2-year terms, we had many new members this time. It was refreshing to see so many people that wanted to be involved with this unique group. We've heard from a variety of speakers. For example, in November, we had a presentation from Terry Poisson, Director of Advanced Studies and Programs. The group had great interest in the expansive magnet programs that we have here in Anne Arundel County. We found it very telling that there were over 4,500 applicants this year for less than half of that number of seats. In January, the Chief Operating Officer came to share the budget in brief and the overall budget schedule with PIAC. We do this presentation every year because it's just amazing to see how expansive our budget is and how things have to be put into place. Veterans also take away new facts to share with their different schools that they represent. At the same meeting, we had Bob Mosier, Chief Communications Officer, showcasing the new and improved website, which brought smiles to everyone's faces. It was great to remind everyone that AACPS uses multiple modes of communication in an attempt to reach as many people as possible. What is more, it was nice to see that some of our input was incorporated into this new and improved website. Our February meeting came the day after the Parkland shooting, which brought our school security and student mental health to the forefront. Lucia Martin, coordinator of school counseling, was already scheduled to speak on personal body safety and came prepared with handouts on tips for talking to children about violence. Tomorrow, our group will meet with Ryan Vogelin, Director of Student Services, to learn about student support services in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. After fielding questions from our guest speakers, each representative gives reports about innovative family engagement events that have been hosted in their clusters. So far this year, we've heard different things such as coffee chats between members and PTA presidents. We've also heard about magnet information nights that are specifically geared toward our Middle Eastern and our Asian community to help everyone understand the process. And also we've had the unified sports program in high schools, which many of our members were unaware of, to name a few. These reports help us to network with each other, to learn about exciting new ways we can encourage families to get involved in their schools, and to ensure that all of our children are successful. It is a pleasure to serve on the Parent Involvement Advisory Council, a group that fosters a deep connection with parents and guardians who are then empowered to spread the information throughout the county. Again, on behalf of Chair Carrie Petz and the entire council, we thank you for the opportunity to share our experiences with you here today. Thank you.
Connor, is Crass speaking this morning? Yes. I'm sorry. Come on up. I'm sorry. Item 2.13, the Crass report.
Good morning, President Hummer, members of the board, and Dr. Arlato. My name is Connor Curran, and I'm the Secretary of Education of CRASC. As demonstrated this past month, students around Anne Arundel County have been voicing their opinions about school safety in the wake of the school shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. CRASC supports student activism regarding school safety. We also encourage students to reach out to their legislators and or attend a CRASC meeting to voice their opinion. We support all students in Anne Arundel County regardless of differences, and are thankful for the support of the Board of Education and school administration has shown students this past several weeks. In addition, we are very pleased to hear about the $15 million in school security upgrades that have been proposed. The addition of SROs, lock upgrades, and double-door security systems will reduce the anxiety some students are feeling. CRASC is hopeful that the County Council will fund these necessary upgrades. As you know, CRASC has announced that Coleman Campbell, Emily Kissinger, and Josie Rea have been selected as the 3 finalists for the 2018-19 Student Member of the Board of Education. Our debate between the finalists was held last Wednesday evening. This mob election will take place on Thursday, April 19th. Best of luck to the candidates. The Great Mills High School tragedy struck in our backyard. Once again, to say that we're offering our condolences is simply not enough. That same week, many of AACPS's students participated in the March for Our Lives events in Washington, D.C. and Annapolis. As our hearts go out to the entire Great Mills school community, CRASC is also proud of how our students are using their voices to speak out for change. Finally, this past Monday, several CRASC members attended a school safety forum in Annapolis. This event was organized by the Maryland Association of Student Councils. Students had the opportunity to speak to delegates and senators from Maryland about our school safety concerns. I continue to be honored to have the opportunity to represent students of Anne Arundel County. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. We will now take a brief recess to have pictures taken with our recognees of the month. So please head on out to the lobby. All right, we're going to get started again. All right. Next will be public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on an item not on today's agenda may offer testimony during this public comment portion of the meeting. Speakers are allotted 3 minutes each and may not allocate their time to others. A tone will sound when time has expired. The board asks that comments remain civil and appropriate for the various audiences that may be watching or viewing this meeting. Student-specific and personnel matters are confidential and cannot be discussed in this forum. It is not the board's general practice to engage in question and answer session with speakers. For the record, please give your name before speaking, and handouts should be given to the board assistant. Adelia Davis, Sarah Davis, Lillian Davis.
Hi, my name is Lillian Davis, and I'm an 8th grader at Central Middle School. I have dyslexia. Although I have testified at Annapolis and here, Anne Arundel County Public Schools continues to deny my dyslexia and providing me with any interventions for them. AACPS spent over $30,000 to take me and my family to due process to deny the $300 evaluations that denied my dyslexia. There are too many kids like me that are falling through the cracks. Please change this and provide the right kind of teaching to children like me so we can pursue a brighter future. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the board. After 20 years of military service, my husband has been issued a new pair of desert combat boots. And on Easter, he left to go to combat training. Today, he was dropped off in a field under simulated hostile fire, and he is preparing to go over to the Middle East, where he will fight to defend the rights that we enjoy here today. He will be working with people who are wounded and providing them the medical care for the soldiers who have given much for their country. And while he is fighting to defend our country, we will be fighting our own fight here. We will be fighting for the very rights he is defending, for our children to receive the quality education that they need and deserve. On Monday of last week, we went to an IEP meeting, and the school team again denied my daughter's dyslexia, as she shared. They denied to review and include information from the many reports that we have spent our military income providing, reflecting the range of needs that she has. Instead, they reduced her services. 13% of children in our country are children with disabilities. In Anne Arundel County, we only identify 9.5% of those children. Where are the other 3,000 children? Who is providing supports for those other children who are not receiving what they need? Many children in our county are not receiving the identification and supports for dyslexia in particular. In addition to being a military spouse, I'm also the new co-chair of the Anne Arundel County Decoding Dyslexia chapter. And in 2 weeks, we will be going to another IEP meeting for my daughter, Adelia. Adelia has cerebral palsy, autism, hypogenesis of the corpus callosum, and other challenges. And we are going to hope that she follows a different path from her sister, and that she gets the supports that she needs all along the way, and that we don't arrive like her sister to high school with articulating at a 4-year-old level, writing at a 4th grade level, and reading accuracy at a 2nd grade level, while going into the STEM program and trying to pursue her dreams, something that we are supporting with the knowledge that she doesn't have the skills to do the program, and hoping that they will accommodate her and that they will not kick her out because she doesn't have those skills because she wasn't prepared. And in the month of the military child, we ask you to reconsider all of the children in this county, the military children who particularly need your support, and the many others, and provide them the support that she needs, that they need. And now my daughter would like to speak. She would like to share that her favorite book is Wonder, and she would like to say, help us get
help us get what we need.
Thank you.
Next will be Mike Shea, Randy Williams, John Earl, Scout Earl Smith, Pilot Earl Smith, and Jet Earl Smith.
If I may stand up. That's fine. Thank you. It's a little easier to see my notes. Not here, not here. The Shadyside Elementary School is not before the board. But as I've always said, it started here. It's always been here by the master agreement, and it's going to end here. Here at the school board, the biggest casualty has been honesty, transparency, and process. The school board approved on December 20th, consolidating lots at Shadyside Elementary School. More giveaway. Land that for 10 years will be unavailable to the students. It's important wooded wetlands. And doing so without a required public vote, doing the business of the public in private, on land issues, you have failed our community. Milestone was thrown out of Prince George's County for process and transparency, and now this school board has adopted the Milestone ways. You need to make amends. And Terry, you should not be taking Milestone money. You should be recusing yourself. You need to personally make amends. And the board needs to accept the responsibility and actions of your staff. You need to take the votes as promised. You need to follow your own guidelines, and you need to do the business of the public in public. I will share with you one email from our Maryland Public Information Act, from your senior manager of planning to Matt Penning, Milestone Communications. The good news is the board will approve offline instead of an open meeting. The business of the public needs to be done in public, and I don't know who your attorney is that advised you otherwise. Thank you.
Mr. Gilliland.
Mr. Shea, I respect you because you've put your name on the line as a candidate. Many, many times you've put your name on the ballot unsuccessfully, but I respect the fact that you've done that. What I would just say to you is, I don't know that this is the place to campaign grandstand.
I've been here before.
I know. Well, you've been running for years, and you've had an open campaign account for years.
Not since 2010.
And your campaign account has been open. And what I would just say to you is, you want to have a debate, I'll have a debate with you, but this is not the place that I'm going to have a debate with you.
You've taken the money, Terry.
All right.
Randy Williams, RN, BSN, Village Lee College, and Emergency Health Services Management at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. When you research the World Health Organization on the concept of health promotion, you find this question: what is a health promoting school? Among the answers I found, preventing leading causes of death, disease, and disability, sedentary lifestyle, drugs and alcohol, violence, and injuries. When you think of wellness, you must first think of prevention and the science we share that we share with the students in each classroom. Teaching the children in preschool to wash their hands came from early nursing wellness training in the battlefield. Concussion prevention came from years of science in trauma centers and other areas. Prohibition of smoking in schools and all other public buildings came from years of science and legislation. Acting as a business, accepting money to install cell towers at schools undermines promotion of an environment of wellness for the children and staff in Anne Arundel County. As soon to be elected members of this board, it is unethical to collect campaign contributions from any business that undermines the health, safety, and wellness of this community. Thank you.
My name is Jetta Earl Smith. I live in Shadyside, and you're going to build a cell tower across the street from my house. I'm worried about my family living under that cell tower, especially my 8-month-old sister, who was born on my 13th birthday. I'm also worried about our cows on our farm. I've read that the laws in Germany prohibit all cell towers being built within 1,000 feet from cows because it affects their milk production. I feel like our community has been targeted by the cell tower industry, and you're helping them every step of the way. At least one of you has taken cell tower money, and others have personally taken actions that assist the cell tower company to help them get this tower built. I feel powerless, and I don't feel safe with you as the board. I don't think you're really looking out for the community's best interests. Thank you.
Thank you, Jetta.
I just read the findings from a 3-day scientific review of a $25 million national toxicology program study done for the FDA. In case you don't know, the National Toxicology Program evaluates hazardous substances and does chemical safety testing to give scientific information that is used to form U.S. public health policy. The scientific panel advises there is clear evidence of cancer and that radio frequency waves can definitely be linked to cancer. One scientist said, "These health risks should stop public officials from promoting radio frequencies, admitting devices for kids." I see that you have taken what the cell tower companies tell you as the truth, and it seems like you are trying to protect them and not me and the other kids. Mr. Gilligan has taken a lot of money from Milestone, and that is why you are helping them. I don't have any money to give you. Is that why you won't help me? You might think that I have video games and cell phone or Wi-Fi in my house, but I don't, and I don't want those things. They are dangerous for my developing brain, and I don't want a brain tumor. I love playing outside. That's all I need. I'm a kid, and my parents are trying to helping me to be safe. I think you should do the same for me and the other kids in our county. Let the playground where kids play outside be safe from radiation. Kids don't need cell towers, but we need nature, and we need to be protected. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a new scout, 6 years old, and I don't want you to put up the cell phone tower. It will hurt my family, my farm, and all the animals. I have 2 cows, 3 goats. One of them is a baby goat, and one's going to be born. And I have 5 cats, 2 cows, 1 dog. I used to have like 15 chickens or something. And we have 8 people in our family. Thank you.
Thank you, Scout.
Good morning. I'm here today with 3 reasons to remind you why you shouldn't build a tower in Shadyside Elementary School. 1, your seats are up for election. So a lot of people running for your seats have been contacting me, and they do not agree, and they do not think that schools should be in the cell tower business because they know better. First of all, I mean, aside from the RF issues, they realize that there's really no money in it, and it isn't part of your mission. It takes more money to oversee these contracts than you receive in revenue. Just do the math. $81,000 last year, gross revenue. It's less than $1 per student per year. It's 1/1000th of 1% of your total operating budget. Number two, I remind you that the wise words of County Councilman Chris Trumbauer. He wrote to you last September before your vote or non-vote. He wrote, quote, "I think that elementary school properties should maximize natural features such as trees and wetlands. A growing body of research suggests that access to nature has a positive effect on mental health and can reduce stress. I don't believe cell towers provide any tangible benefit to elementary schools. Please think about the overall impacts to school property and the students who spend so much of their days at those facilities. I urge you to reconsider policy to prohibit telecommunication towers on elementary schools," end quote. And three, I have to bring up again the issue of honesty, transparency, and process. Gilliland taking money from Milestone is obviously one point. But two is the communications that I've been reading between your representatives and the cell tower companies are considering, regarding the lot consolidation, for example, your representative wrote, quote, "Good news. The board will approve offline instead of open meeting. If I can get it all before December 20, I can get it to them." And the cell tower company Milestone replies, "That is good news. We will work to get it to you ASAP." Our group has standing, and we are standing up for our community. I implore you to reconsider your position on this issue. And Stacy, I loved your Martin Luther King quote today, and I feel like it applies completely to what we're trying to do here. So thank you for that.
Ms. Sasser, can you just stay there, Mr. Earl? I'll address it then. Mr. Earl, the Earl family, Mr. Shea, and Mrs. William, okay? I appreciate your very high concern and those that basically are in your group that basically back it. But we must remember that we receive emails also from people in Shadyside, and a lot of the emails are those that want the tower. So it's not just a one-sided presentation, okay? The tower has been vetted by this board, and the tower will basically be built. So, therefore, in view of this fact, I do suggest that basically you gear your attitudes towards something else, because one of the things that really bother me is for you people to stand here and basically attack one of our board members, Mr. Gilligan, when basically the money that was given to his campaign came after the fact that this has been voted by the board, and he decided then to run for the campaign, and Milestone contributed the money. That has nothing to do with basically this tower going into Shadyside. So I don't think that publicly you should accuse one of us of something that has happened after the fact.
Okay. Sorry you take offense to, I would consider it constructive criticism. And I think what we're trying to do is to just make you aware that 1,000 people might want something, doesn't mean it's right, okay?
But that's why there is a board that basically 8 of us have an option to vote.
Right.
And as you know, 8 were in favor, 1 was not.
Okay.
We're not going to debate back and forth to have. So,
Well,
Mr. Butcher.
Yes, the only thing I wanted to say is that obviously this is something that took place before I got on the board. But when we have, and I know the policy generally is that we don't comment, but I think it may be appropriate because at least the meetings that I've been here, this has come up. So whether it's this meeting or next meeting, which I assume that you're going to be at as well, it would be nice to just get a rundown publicly when we have individuals that are accusing the board of not acting in the best interest of the community. It's my 2 cents.
All right, that next batch, Lisa Van Buskirk, Jean Sohm, Dana Schalheim, Carmen Skarlupka, Allison Shelton, and Chloe Vargason.
Good morning, Board of Education. Lisa Van Buskirk of Start School Later. Today I represent over 4,300 signatories to our 2 petitions, including most recently some Board of Education and County Council candidates for this year's election. Since 7 out of 9 of you were not on the board in 2014 when the school start time and the school start and dismissal times task force reported to you, I'm going to read a couple of pages from the website. The AACPS task force believes that adolescent students need at least 8.5 hours of sleep each night to function at their peak. As an aside, only 21% of Anne Arundel County's high school students get 8 hours of sleep. Nationally, only 10% get 9 hours. So how many get 8.5 is somewhere between 10 and 20%. That exact information is not available to the public. Continuing on the website, as a school system, Anne Arundel County is responsible for creating a safe and healthy learning environment for all students. Increasingly, research shows that an essential component of ensuring student health is providing opportunities for students to receive adequate sleep. It continues, sleep impacts every aspect of a child's mental and physical health. Research suggests that inadequate sleep can lead to shortened attention spans, obesity, increased illness, and sports injuries. In 2014, Dr. Carla Wallstrom, the director of the Center of Applied Research and Education Improvement at the University of Minnesota, conducted a 3-year study across 3 states to examine the impact of later high school start times on health and academic performance. The findings from this report show the dramatic impact that sleep can have on students' mental and physical health. Specifically, the study found that adolescents getting less than 8 hours of sleep reported higher symptoms of depression, increased use of caffeine, increased instances of drowsy driving, increased risk-taking behavior, including substance abuse. The study also found that starting high school later positively correlated with increased performances on tests, increased attendance rates, decreased tardiness, and a decrease in the number of car crashes for teen drivers. The U.S. Army, as we celebrate the military relationship, the U.S. Army identifies 3 pillars of health: nutrition, exercise, and sleep. As you hear about AACPS's wellness efforts later in this meeting, I want you to think about how AACPS is doing along that sleep pillar. Or you could think of it from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that physiological needs at the lowest level must be addressed before the higher order needs. You can start addressing these sleep needs by getting some updated cost estimates from the 2014 ones and the task force recommendations to see if those costs are valid. And I look forward to those results. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for your time. My name is Jeannie Sohm, and I'm a co-leader of Decoding Dyslexia in Anne Arundel County, and I'm also a member of the CCAC. I'm here to provide my support to the Davis family and express my concern that this is not this is a situation where there are other families that have slipped through the cracks as well. They're not being properly identified with dyslexia, and they're going on to have to go into schools such as the Summit, where they're actually found to have dyslexia. I recently testified in front of the Anne Arundel County delegates and received their unanimous support for HB 910, early screening and intervention. This bill requires screening for reading difficulties in kindergarten, pre-K kindergarten, and first grade. A screener is a brief assessment of early literacy skills that's highly predictive of later outcomes. These screeners identify students are at risk before negative outcomes of reading failure begin. This bill is currently being reviewed in the Senate, and we're hoping that it is passed. If it is not passed, we're asking that this Board of Education, that board members move forward with this early screening. It'll help to provide interventions when it's needed, when the brain is more plastic. If we can identify these students in pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade, that's when we're able to provide them with the most information, and the brain is most plastic and able to obtain that. Right now, we have a wait to fail reading model. We wait for children to fail, and then we start providing them services. If we can screen them early enough, we can provide them services before they fail. Many kindergartners do not receive the necessary pre-literacy skills. Struggling readers who are not identified by the end of first grade are less likely to attain grade level proficiency. Currently, less than 15% of Maryland students receive special education services in kindergarten and pre-K. If we could start identifying them earlier, then we could start providing these services earlier and make a big difference. Currently, greater than 50% of students in Anne Arundel County are having problems reading on grade level. The students identified for special education services are typically identified in grade 3+. In the first through, children learn to read, and then from there on, they read to learn. If children aren't able to, if they're not reading, they're not going to continue to learn. Right now, the 85% of all juvenile offenders have reading problems. 60% of American inmates read below a 4th grade reading level. The link between academic failure and delinquency, violence, and crime is welding to reading failure. Reading difficulties are identifiable as early as pre-K. Dyslexia is identifiable with a 92% accuracy by the age of 5.5. 95% of all children can be taught to read. In summary, I'm asking for additional support to create a dyslexic subcommittee where we could start teaching and explaining more information to the school system. I've been to meetings where the dyslexia tab, they didn't know that students can be identified with dyslexia, and I was the one that had to tell them that there's now a drop-down menu that exists. They were not aware of that. So we need additional help, please.
Thank you, Ms. Sloan.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Carmen Skarlupka. I actually came here to speak about an agenda item 5.08, the emergency plans. However, based on the earlier presentation, I would like to preface this statement with, we were here today and saw the recognition of the month of the military child. I'm a Navy veteran. My children graduated from Anne Arundel County Public Schools. They were dependents throughout their entire career here, to include being members of the Exceptional Family Member Program. So I'm well versed in the special education needs of military children, and I found it disappointing that this board, in recognizing the month of the military child, did not actually recognize the military children in the room, being the Austin family. As a veteran, that's poor taste at best. Now, on to the emergency plans that are being revised.
That's an agenda item, and you have to wait and speak on that one when we come to that on the agenda.
Oh, okay. Well, wonderful. Okay. I'll take care of that then. Okay. So just as a precursor then, I'd like to follow up with the young man who spoke earlier, Connor, on Krask, and know that supporting these young people who are dealing with social and emotional needs following school shootings is our responsibility to take care of their mental and emotional health. And I see we're going to have a presentation on that as well. So I implore you and urge you, please consider what is going on with our children, whether or not there is any active shooter events here in this school district. It doesn't mean they're not being impacted. So please. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Schallheim.
Hi, good morning. I'm here as a parent, just for the record, and I'm Dana Schallheim, and I just wanted to say that I'm thrilled that HB 679, that was cross-filed as Senate Bill 729, that also had House Bill 553 at one point, to add 5 extra days to the school calendar, has passed unanimously the Senate, 132 to 6 in the House. So, and by all accounts, Governor Hogan's going to sign it. And when that happens, then we go back to our original conversation, which I'm thrilled to bits about. So I hope and I expect that you all will take up next year's calendar once that ink is dry on that bill. 5 extra days means that hopefully we can get Rosh Hashanah back as a non-instructional day, like I have been pleading with you all to do since last fall, and MSEA Day, and maybe a proper spring break. I'm just putting it out there. But obviously my priorities as a Jewish person raising a strong Jewish child, or trying to, a strong Jewish daughter, that I want my day back. I want Rosh Hashanah back as a non-instructional day next year and going forward, along with Yom Kippur, and I want MSEA Day to be standard, non-instructional. So that's why I came here, to celebrate a little bit, because it was a heavy lift. As a private citizen, I lobbied nonstop for 7 months, and then I found out that our goals were aligned on November 28th at the House Delegates meeting, and then I walked the bill with Jeanette Ortiz, and it was incredibly wonderful, and to see it go all the way through, I can't even believe it. So please take up those 2 items, okay? And I'll be back at the next meeting and at the next one until we do it. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
I do. Ms. Scholheim, I know you worked very hard with Jeanette Ortiz. This is a bill that we had put forth with our delegation, and we're all, I think everyone in the state is happy that we're going to have some more flexibility with the calendar. So thank you for all your hard work.
Yes, the development of the school calendar needs to be with the school districts and not at the state level, and I'm glad we all agree on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Allie Shelton. I'm a student at Chesapeake High School. I've come here today to address school safety. After 2 months, there's little permanent safety measures in place for our schools. I am aware of the fact that extra SROs are to be put in middle schools, but what about the high schools? We're afraid to come to school and walk down the halls. There have been a lot of threats recently at almost most schools in this county. My school just had a threat last week, and they've just become normal. This is happening now and in our own county. Students feel as though appropriate action has not been taken to keep them safe. They have seen this with their own eyes, that little to no change has happened. For example, communication is important in an emergency situation, yet teachers and employees lack the means to communicate effectively during a lockdown or emergency situation. This alone shows that the board is out of touch with their county schools and students. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Clay Vargson. I am a sophomore at Chesapeake Senior High, and today I am speaking along with Allison from the Axiom Club of Chesapeake High School. Today I am addressing the agenda itself and how, despite many complaints and problems popping up, you completely and utterly disregard what us as a county, students, and parents want and need to be covered and talked about. I'm here to speak to you about the negligence going on in our county regarding not only physical safety, as Allie has talked about, but emotional safety as well. I'm going to talk to you about how I was bullied through most of my middle school years, and despite me going to administration multiple times over the 3 years I was there, the issue was never taken seriously or resolved. That was 5 years ago. Now bullying is a bigger issue. I'm an example, I am an example of how bullying can cause mental damage. I've had many issues with my mental state because of what happened to me in middle school. And here are some of my questions for you. What if I was your kid? What if your kid was coming home every day crying because someone said something about their weight? What if it was your kid who was needing hospitalization like many kids are experiencing? What if I was your kid being assaulted? What if it was your child's school that wasn't doing anything to protect your child? I'm sure if it was your kid experiencing what I have experienced and many other kids have experienced, you would do everything in your power. You would. As victims and activists supporting the movement to helping the bullying problem, had a zero tolerance policy the same as this county, I would not be standing in front of you. I can tell you that us as students and parents and activists have a zero tolerance policy for the complete lack of action taken by the board and school administration regarding the bullying issue in our schools. Thank you for your time.
Ladies, would you do me a favor? Thank you, first of all, for coming forward and speaking as you have. This is wonderful. Would you do me a favor and meet with Dr. Kubik so she can get your specific information and talk about some of the issues that you guys have both been dealing with? Would you do that for me? Thank you.
Mr. Butcher.
Again, this is another example of something that I think that Dr. Alato should be able to address. There's a perception that nothing is being done, and I know that there have been steps that have taken place. So this isn't an opportunity to debate, but I do think in a public forum, which I know you've done in certain forums, but in this format, we should try to address some of the issues that are being raised with school safety.
All right. Is there any other public comment at this time?
Hi, my name is Kevin Vasquez. I'm senior at Chesapeake High School. I'm leader of the Axiom Club Chesapeake High. Last time I came here and spoke to you all about basically how I felt and how other people have felt that the public will was not being represented by you as a board. And I feel that was misunderstood by the board, by the superintendent, and by the associate superintendent. I did not come here to speak just on behalf of Chesapeake. I also came here to speak regarding the incidents at Lindale Middle School, the bullying epidemic that is going on, school safety itself, and the cell phone tower at Shadytown Elementary. So with that being said, I have a question for you all, and whether you answer it is totally up to you. Your policy manual and the Maryland Annotated Code defines yourself as a state agency. So as a state agency, what obligation do you have to adhere to student and county voice? That's all I have for you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, is there any other public comment? All right. Item 4.01 through 4.06, do I have a motion to bundle those items? Do I have a second? All those in favor? Okay. Now, do I have a motion to move these items from information to action? Second. All those in favor? Dr. Arlotto, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend that the Board of Education award contracts as listed on today's agenda, 4.01 through 4.06.
Okay. All right. Mr. Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam President. I have two questions from the for agenda items 4.05 and 4.06. So for 4.05 service vehicles, so this is just a general comment I'll address later as well. So for 4.05, we sent bids to 56 different, I'm assuming, dealers, and yet we only heard back from 3 for what would appear to be a home run contract opportunity for not only dealers in Anne Arundel, but the region at large. Is there any explanation why we only received 3 valid bids back for a service vehicle job?
For the record, Alex Shekno is Chief Operating Officer. So to begin with, we obviously advertise these not only on our website, but we are obligated to participate in the e-Maryland marketplace. So every governmental unit inside of the state of Maryland, on the public sector, all school systems, county governments, municipalities, et cetera, publish their bids on the e-Maryland marketplace, which is accessible to everybody and anybody wishing to do a business with the public sector. The 56 that are referenced here, we have a mechanism in addition to publishing it on a website, in addition to participating in a mandatory e-Maryland commerce marketplace. We have a process where vendors can elect to voluntarily sign up for free with our purchasing department in certain categories of work, and if opportunities arise within those specific categories, we automatically email blast out to those individuals that an opportunity exists here within the category of work that they've self-selected. That said, essentially each and every private entity has their own ability to participate or not participate in a procurement action. Currently the sale of SUVs and trucks is going pretty well. In a private sector, if you've not seen, they're having boom years in selling Ford 150s, 250s, 350s, et cetera. Overall, doing business with a public sector is essentially more burdensome. It's a little bit more bureaucratic, and of their own volition, if they can sell to the private market and make decent profits, and there's wait lists for their vehicles, some make a decision to go that way. So we do see some variability with the economy. So in years when the economy is going down and businesses aren't doing as well on the private side, essentially they compete more robustly on the public sector. Conversely, when things are booming, and this isn't just with vehicles, but in other sort of cyclical economy sectors, when the economy's booming and they can make sufficient revenue on the private sector side without having the burdensome requirements of fulfilling many of the public sector requirements that not just school districts, but again, county, city, state government have to do. They don't elect to participate on the public sector bids as vigorously as any of us might wish.
So if I were to summarize that into a soundbite, would it be accurate to say that the better the economy is doing on the private side, the less we are able to, as a public entity, the less we are able to realize cost savings for these sorts of contracts?
Well, I didn't say cost savings. I said the amount of individuals or entities that will bid, that will go to the effort to bid on a public sector contract.
But as a public entity, we typically choose the lowest bidder, and the more bids we would receive, perhaps the more competitive that process would become.
We are obligated to pick the lowest cost vendor that is both responsive and responsible, and those are defined terms within the statute, so that is our obligation.
Okay. So that brings me to my question on 4.06, Southern High School parking lot expansion. So we did receive nine responses on that particular contract, and what stood out to me was the winning bidder, the cost that they quoted us for the job. The average bid of these 9 that we received was approximately $387,100. The median bid was $379,200. However, the winning bid was approximately $295,000, which came in at a little over 9% or $30,000 less than the next closest bid. That surprised me, having a background in civil engineering, when someone is that far out of line with the average, the median, and comes in on close to 10% off of the next closest bidder. That was always a red flag for us, that perhaps they forgot something. What triggers or processes do we have in place in the district to address potential errors in bidding?
Sure, we have a fairly standardized process. Obviously, we produce the solicitation package, the design, drawing, specifications, et cetera, for the project. Then we have a pre-bid meeting that's typically held at a site for a construction contract, where the vendors meet with procurement and facility staff to be able to actually walk the job, get a feel for the scope, the nature, any impediments or complexities that are associated with that. Then they go through the solicitation opening. So the bid is due at a specific time. They're publicly read and recorded at that time. We then go through a series of procedures. Again, our obligation is not just to look at the low price, but to look that it's responsive and responsible. So responsive means that they've met the technical requirements of the bid submission. So very simple examples are, if it was required to be signed, was it signed? If it was required to be signed in ink, was it signed in ink and not crayon or something? So the responsiveness is a very technical analysis on the part of the procurement officer regarding the term and conditions of applying for and responding to a solicitation. Then we turn the page to the next criteria, which is responsibleness. So responsibleness essentially is, are they in good standing, and do they have the capacity to discharge the project, to fulfill the term and conditions of the contract? We go about checking that a number of ways. The first thing we do, obviously, is we check the references that they have provided. We check to make sure that they're not debarred or disbarred or have any other tax or criminal proceedings that will preclude them from bidding. There's obviously affidavits that they have to fulfill on that. So that's standard across all projects. But you're right, there comes a time, for example, on this one, where a project is lower than what we anticipated. And you'll see that, as you indicated, the bid is below sort of the average of their peers. So we invite, anytime that occurs, we invite individuals in for something called a pre-award. It's not done on every project, but it is done on a project when we have a price that sort of falls out of line with their peers, with their competition. That is held with our purchasing officials, and in this case, our facility officials. We ask them to come in, to bring in their bid records, and to go over with us essentially what have they included with the bid. We understand our job. We know how many trucks of concrete, we know how many lineal foot of curb, we know whether it's rolled curb, flat face curb, bullnose curb, we know everything about our project. It's our project. We ask them to come in with their estimates and their takeoffs and tell us how many cubic yards of concrete, how many lineal foot of curb face, what kind of curb face, do they or don't they have traffic control devices. So they have to disclose to us what they've included in the project. If they have not included something that's in the project, they essentially have two choices, quite honestly. We allow them the opportunity to walk away from the project, and that's typically the best result, the best outcome for somebody that has drastically missed something, because we certainly don't want to put them in a position where they have to cut corners, possibly sacrifice quality, because we won't tolerate that for a single second, or they're going to have to essentially eat the cost and come out at a break even or an upside down condition. That's a situation they kind of make. So we allow them, again, to either walk away from the project or to commit to the project, but they understand if they commit to it, they have to commit to it fully. We are absolutely going to monitor every term and condition. We're going to have inspectors out there on the job. We're going to quality control their materials and their workmanship from start to end, and there are very serious ramifications for a contractor to fail. So it's either you walk away gracefully, that's the process, or we're going to sign a contract, mutually agree that you're going to perform it and we're going to monitor you, you're going to deliver it exactly as we specified, or again, disclosed within the contracts, or some very serious ramification. Probably the most serious really is a negative reference. So for example, on all of our contracts, we ask, have you been discharged from a project? Have you been debarred? Have you been banned from bidding with a public entity? Do you have any judgments against you, etc.? If you fail on one of our projects and we dismiss you for cause, you are then, for however many bidders you want to bid on for the near future of your career, going to have to disclose to those entities that you've been discharged, been dismissed, been debarred, been et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're not going to win any bids. So, in that case, this firm we've met, the references are very good. Their takeoffs, their rationale were squared away with exactly what we figured on the job. They've got the materials. They said they have the manpower. And again, given that, we have no option but to award the contract. We're going to enter into the contract because they have not met any of the grounds for which they can be dismissed preemptively. We're going to monitor the contract to the end. We wish them well. They have performed well for other entities, and we think that it will be a successful job.
All right. Well, it's always good to save $30,000 when you don't expect it. So thank you for that very thorough answer. I don't have any further questions.
Are there any other board questions? Are there any public comments? All right, all those in favor? All right, motion passes. Item 5.01 is an information item. Dr. Arlotto?
Yes, ma'am. As the board has in their packet, there's just one reassignment for the board's information.
Okay, and so there's no action that needs to be taken on that one. Okay. 5.02 is personnel. This is an action item. Dr. Arlotto, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend that the board approve the actions as stipulated on the attached sheets.
Okay. Are there any board questions or comments? All those in favor? Okay. Item 5.03 is the 2018-2019 board meeting calendar. This is an action item. You make the motion. Mr. Gilliland.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the board recommend, or that the board approve the 2018-2019 Board of Education meeting calendar.
Second. Ms. Korbelak.
I just had a couple questions about the November board meeting. I realize with Thanksgiving that we're only having one. I just wondered why we chose the 7th instead of kind of middle of the road 14th, and why it was a day meeting instead of an evening meeting. My concern is that we're going from October 24th to December 19th without an evening meeting, and we would have 4 weeks between our November and our December meeting.
Okay.
Do you know why you...
I don't know why. I don't know that we that was brought up. So you can make a motion to change it.
I would like to make a motion then to change the November meeting from Wednesday, November 7th at 10 a.m. to Wednesday, November 14th at 7 p.m.
So move. Second.
Is there any board questions or comments on this amendment? Is there any public comment? So then the motion to change the November meeting to Wednesday, November 14th at 7 p.m. All those in favor? Okay. Anyone? I think that was everyone. So motion passes. All right. Are there any other questions or comments regarding the calendar from the board? Anyone?
Judy,
yeah.
You made
Cessa.
a motion to approve the 7th, but I don't think we have made a motion to approve the calendar.
We haven't yet.
Oh.
So now we're taking further questions on the calendar before we move on to that vote. So is there any public comment on the calendar? All right. If there's no other discussion, then now we will vote on approving the calendar as amended.
So move.
All right. All right. All those in favor? Okay. Calendar is approved. All right. Item 5.04 is an information to action item. Do I have a motion to move this from information to action? Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Okay. Dr. Arlotto, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend board approval of these courses before you beginning in the 2018-2019 school year.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Okay. All right. And we do not have a presentation. Ms. Sasso.
I have a question on the science and health, physical education and dance offices, and on the Scratch program. The reason being we have issues with getting teachers, and I wanted really a thorough explanation. You know, I prefer to see the teachers going towards the basic curriculum than creating, you know, these two basically bother me. So if the head of the department could explain why these two are necessary. On the second page, on the back page, the one that says science and health, physical education and dance offices, exercise science. And the next one is the global IT connection Scratch.
President Hummer, Mr. Gillian, Dr. Arlotto, members of the board, for the record, my name is Skip Lee. I'm the Director of Curriculum. And today I bring forth new course proposals authored by the Content Office coordinators and school-based teachers, and we're here to address your concerns. Let's go ahead and start with the proposal for the exercise exercise science and applications of exercise science. It was brought forth by a teacher, Ms. Tori Shriver from Arundel High School, attempting to fill a need. And while I do recognize what you're saying in terms of teacher recruitment, I think that that particular course falls very much in line to what we're doing as a system in preparing students for career and college opportunities. But I want to defer to Ms. Shriver to afford you some information about the development of the course. Tori?
I'm Tori Shriver, so I'm a teacher at Arundel High School, and I have a background in kinesiology. However, when I came to Anne Arundel County to teach, I only had the options to teach really my kind of prerequisite classes in college, which was biology, environmental science, and I kind of felt like, well, what am I doing? I don't really have a background in biology. My background is in exercise science, in physiology, in biomechanics, in motor and control development. So with this class, I have students all the time, like, Ms. Shriver, you're cool, but science is hard. And I'm like, okay, but science is life, you know, like, add the dramatics to them. But they really have a hard time seeing the connection between contents. So exercise science, I didn't know until I got to college that I had this pathway for my love of science, my love of physical education. I didn't know they were connected. Because in high school, I was that student taking AP classes, but then all of my electives were PE. And I got made fun of. And they're like, what are you going to do with 9 credits of PE? And I didn't know what to tell them. What am I going to do with 9 credits of PE? And there's that stigmatism. Oh, you're going to be a PE teacher. There's nothing wrong with being a PE teacher. But there's more to PE than just the kinesthetic background, the kinesthetic content. There is science, there is math, there is health, there is English and everything, by the way. Also, props out to the English teachers. So I really started listening to my students, and I'm like, how can I make what I teach and my passion for kinesiology, how can I put it out there? And I went to Ms. Davenport, and she said, okay, propose. And I'm like, propose? What do I propose? What do I propose? So we have this need for students who, after they take chemistry, they don't want to take physics, and a lot of them don't want to take chemistry. So they want to take science electives. Well, what electives do we have? What electives are we selling them that can really stop that mindset that science is hard? Science is life. There is connections to these classes. So they take anatomy and physiology. That's too hard. What? It's bones. It's muscles. You have bones. You have muscles. But they only see it as memorization. So this way we're adding more connections. And I'm going to probably overkill that word, and I apologize. But the idea behind this is to extend behind or in front of the basics and really help them see what the pathways are for their future.
So with this class, so this falls under both physical education and science?
Yes, ma'am.
What, does it meet one of the physical education requirements for graduation? Would it meet one of those?
At this point, we've proposed it to be a science elective.
Okay.
We have sports medicine in the physical education track, which would be an alternative for that additional half credit. So we'd like the match between the sports medicine course and the science and the exercise.
So this is continue on as like a further career exploration as they go on from biology to move on, that other things that you could apply with that would be through sports medicine or kinesiology and all this, and how they're connected.
Yes, ma'am. In fact, we'd like to link it to nutrition science and the anatomy physiology course that she mentioned already, to make this package to prepare for a career in physical therapy or athletic training or physical education. There's a whole bunch of potential pathways by having this grouping of courses together at the high school level.
Okay.
It's very much about application.
Yes, sir.
It's about applying the science.
Yes.
And in regarding the scratch, Deb Kremer.
Hi, I'm Deb Kremer, the coordinator for Career and Technology Education. The courses proposed for our computer science, Scratch is one of the modules that we are proposing to build a computer science really program for students. We don't have very many offerings right now. Dr. McMahon has been very instrumental in kind of leading a group of computer science teachers and business partners to identify what the needs really are and what experiences students should have while they're in high school to prepare them for everything. Computer science is everywhere now. So we're really in the process of trying to build these opportunities. Scratch is one of the very introductory level courses that students, because we do use it to some extent in elementary and middle school, this would be the next step for, and probably around a 9th grade student, to really just jump in and have fun with programming, to get them involved, interested, and get them kind of set up for the next level of computer science they would get. So this is an example of one of the entry-level courses, modules that we're proposing for computer science.
Mr. Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to say for the Global IT Connections 2 course, it's wonderful seeing the connection to mathematics there for our computer science. Firsthand, I've had the pleasure of watching middle school students work with Scratch and have a lot of excitement there in their math courses. And discrete math is incredibly fun, doesn't get enough credit that it deserves. So it's great to see a market period there. I do have a question about the implementation of the exercise science and application of exercise courses in terms of student scheduling. So I see that both of these are listed as 9-week electives. So just for the record, do we award quarter credits in this district?
Could I answer that?
Sure.
Okay. So we are moving that way, and you'll notice that the way that this global IT application is proposed, it's proposed as a half-credit class because right now our data system can only track that way, but the new data system that we're getting next year will be able to track the actual quarter. So you'll notice that students had to select 2 of these modules to make that half credit. The plan is in the future they will be broken out so students can mix and match a quarter, a 0.25 credit module to be able to fill that semester.
Okay, great. My concern was that students could potentially be dropping out of more challenging science classes in order to pick up the quarter credit, when really I think what we want is for students to augment their science experience with that additional.
Yeah, we're trying to get
course.
them to be able to jump in and taste things and try things and say, whoa, this is really awesome, and then lead them to the bigger credit and more rigorous courses.
Right. Too often for students struggling with academics, we're looking for off-ramps for them, but really this is creating an on-ramp to get kids excited about science, and I applaud
It much aligns to the 9th grade initiative of success, and we see these quarter courses as being opportunities to dabble in things of personal interest as opposed to committing to an entire semester of something that they may or may not engage in. So you're absolutely right in that. Specific to the exercise science, we do see the first year implementation of them being paired. It really would be difficult right now, but as we grow our quarter course offerings, we can see somebody jumping in and jumping out and trying a whole bunch of different things.
All right, thanks for your efforts.
Mr. Gilliland.
Thank you, Madam President. I love that exchange. When I got to Loyola for undergrad, I saw the list of required courses for science, and I said, sign me up for Intro to the Universe, because that was my capacity level.
We don't have that course.
We could propose it.
Yeah, we don't have that yet.
I just wanted to say thank you for all of these courses, especially the ESOL courses, because I know with my day job and seeing a lot of the collaboration that we're having with AACPS as it relates to the GED option program. I just want to say thank you for that. But thank you for being here. And I just wanted to say, certainly if you'd be willing, I hope somebody here would get you on video to sell the opportunities for STEM. And I agree with Mr. Reinhardt about certainly not eliminating the more difficult courses, but augmenting the science experience. You sell so well, and I hope we can get you on film or on camera at some point to sell this experience.
For the record, Gina Davenport, principal to Rundle High School. She is not a STEM teacher. She just works in a great comprehensive high school where we explore all possible alternatives for students to ignite their passion, and Ms. Shriver is just part of that passion. So she will make any commercial that you want, but we're all about comprehensive high school.
We say hashtag AACPS awesome, so thank you for this.
Sasso.
Yeah. My last question on these two is basically, do these two entail bringing in new teachers, or let's say the exercise science, you would be teaching it, so that would be an extra course that is being taught by the teachers that are already there?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I have one quick question. Will these courses be available at all of our schools, or are we starting, is Arundel getting to start them and then they're expanding?
So right now the goal is to make them available beginning in the fall in all schools. We're up against a little bit of a tight timeline now because some scheduling has already been initiated, but being in front of you today and potentially getting your support will open up some opportunities across our district. Yes, ma'am. It does go back to the original question about teacher availability and capacity too. We don't want to put opportunities in front of students when the teachers are not prepared for it. So we'll vet the those opportunities as they come along, but I can tell you that it will be at Arundel for sure. Once it's approved.
And could I, before the board takes a vote, would you all reintroduce yourselves? We've got some board members that have seen some new faces for today. I want to make sure they know. They connect the awesomeness with the people doing all the work.
Good afternoon. I'm Shelley Hartford. I'm the coordinator for the English Language Acquisition Program, which is sponsoring the ESOL courses before you.
Skip Lee, the director of curriculum.
Gina Davenport, the very proud principal at Arundel High School.
And I'm Tori Shriver. I'm a science and math teacher. I forgot I also teach Best of Both Worlds at Arundel High School.
And I'm Deb Kremer, coordinator for career and technology education and computer science.
So, are there any other board questions or comments about these? Is there any public comment? All right. All in favor of approving these classes? Motion passes. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Okay. Item 5.05 is an information to action item. Do I have a motion to move this from information to action?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, it's now an action item. Ms. Ortiz.
Good afternoon. For the record, Jeanette Ortiz, Legislative and Policy Counsel. So 1 week left of session. Sine die is officially on midnight. Session ends Monday, April 9th. I can't wait to get my life back. It's been a very busy session with record amounts of legislation introduced. And so, as you've already heard, legislation that will positively impact Anne Arundel County Public Schools and other school systems regarding calendar flexibility has passed through the legislature and will go to the governor, who has indicated he will sign the legislation, near unanimous support for giving school systems calendar flexibility. So we're very excited about that. In my exhibit today, I do not have any legislation for the board to take an official vote or position. However, I'd be happy to answer questions on any of the other items of legislation that fall into the no position category, or those that fall under our legislative program, or any other legislation that you might have questions on.
Ms. Corbelette.
For the benefit of everybody watching, we had the bill sponsored by Delegate Pena-Melnick about making it the third Friday in June, and then this other bill was about adding five days. Is it going to be the third Friday in June plus 5 days, or just 5 days?
Yes, thank you. I will definitely explain that. So the initial legislation that was supported by the board was House Bill 679 by our Delegate Pena-Melnick, which would have allowed schools to close no later than the third Friday in June. There was legislation in the Senate and the House that would had just give school systems an additional 5 school days. However, it didn't specify that those school days would be past June 15th. So the Senate bill was amended to make those clarifications, that it would be additional 5 school days past June 15th. And just for the public, as I'm sure everyone is aware by now, the governor issued an executive order back in 2016, which required schools to end post-Labor Day and to begin post-Labor Day and end by June 15th. So that's the June 15th date that I'm referencing. And so the Senate bill was amended to make some clarifications. It went over to, so then the third Friday in June bill passed the House, the extra 5 days passed the Senate. And so it was ultimately determined to do the 5 additional school days beyond June 15th date. They were both also additionally amended to be emergency bills, which means that once the governor signs, which as I mentioned, he has indicated that he supports and will sign, they will go into effect.
Ms. Sasso.
I just have a question on the HB 1801, the SB 1226, which is on page, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 would be 4. Yep, page 4. And I can see that we oppose it. But my question is, why didn't we oppose it with an amendment? I understand we cannot fund it, but can we oppose it with the Department of State Police being the one responsible for the security?
So we opposed it because it would require, this bill would have required SROs at every school in the county. So just being able, the funding for that, and that wouldn't be state police. State police would be assisting those counties that didn't, like smaller counties that you just don't have the manpower to provide that. It would be costly to the county, even though the county would pay for it. That would, we believe, impact our budget ultimately as well. It's very costly. I think I've heard that the number tied to an SRO when you do the benefits and the police car and their pay is over $200,000. So, for every school in our district, that would be a significant amount of money. And then also just the manpower, where you're going to find these folks. Just for the record, though, so this was a little while ago. These bills were dropped. We had our last board meeting canceled as a result of inclement weather. I was actually early this morning in the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee. They've decided to move Senate Bill 1265, which is we supported with amendments. That's on the last page there, page 10, as the vehicle for school safety legislation this session. It's now 25 pages. I got the latest amended version this morning. And so the only SRO mandate, as far as that version of the bill that was voted out of the Senate Budget and Tax, would be an SRO at every public high school in the state. So that's a much lesser impact that we already comply with. It may impact smaller counties again. However, it does provide for state police assistance for those counties. The legislation definitely addresses all of the concerns that we had with the various proposals that were introduced, and there is funding tied to the legislation as far as grants. There is also additional capital funding to a total of, between the operating and capital, over $40 million, which, with all school systems probably isn't enough for everybody, but just helps kind of jumpstart various school safety measures. So that legislation seems to have very broad bipartisan support and kind of takes into consideration just various concepts in a less mandating way.
Thank you.
Gilliland.
Thank you again, Madam President. Mr. Ortiz, I just, as Sine Die approaches, just one more time wanted to say thank you for all of your hard work. I speak with a number of the members of the delegation, members outside of this county who are part of Ways and Means, and EHE, and I can just say that your reputation is highly regarded, and I appreciate personally all that you do on behalf of AACPS, so thank you.
Oh, thank you. You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. I love Annapolis and working with the legislature. It's 3 months of organized chaos. It helps my winter go by very quickly, although I don't know that spring is here yet. But it's my pleasure to represent the board and the school system and, all of our positions and the great work that we do here. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, this has been busy. And just to give a little background as we wrap up, just for the public's benefit, the Board of Education and the school system comes up with a legislative program every year and we have stated positions on a wide range of everything. That's everything that's in there. And this is available to the public. And then in November of every year, we invite all of our elected officials from the state and the county to come for a breakfast where we present this program to them and share our priorities for the system. And those who don't attend, we do mail this to them. And we encourage all of our elected officials to come to us if they have legislation that affects schools that they want to put in so that we can share. We can provide them with input, what we're already doing in the county, and we can share with them what our legislative program is. So when Ms. Ortiz comes up every meeting and brings things forward to us, there's a number of bills in here that have come through that we do not vote on individually because our stated position on them is already in the legislative program. at any time, a board member can bring those forward for a vote, or, you know, to change, to say we want to support this or amend it. But if that is not raised, those just go through with our stated opposition or support based on the program. And then we vote on bills that don't necessarily fall under that. And so there were hundreds of bills that came through this time regarding education, and I think probably the board and the public is happy we don't vote on every single one individually. But we can at any time. So if there is a bill that we would like to discuss further, it can be brought up. But not every bill takes an individual vote. Some of it is done based on our program. Did I sum that up right?
Yep, that's perfectly correct. And,
Okay.
you know, as you mentioned, our program is very comprehensive. Not all school systems have such a comprehensive legislative program as we do. And so we cover pretty much every subject, whether it's funding, school construction, curriculum and assessments, teacher preparation, pensions, a lot. And so I would definitely recommend for folks to go. It's available online and just very comprehensive, and you can see sort of the vision of the school system, what we support, what we oppose. So anything that falls within the program, you know, we go ahead and take positions on that because the board has already voted on the program in your first November meeting to adopt the positions in the program. And so, yes, taking a vote on every single bill would have us here for probably hours on some days because there's so much. And, but there are, you know, every so often we have legislation that doesn't fall neatly or maybe may fall into one of our stated positions, but it's a complicated or a very or maybe a controversial issue that I would bring before the board for a more thorough review and a vote.
So again, thank you. We had voted to move this from information to action, but we have no action items because we have no bills to vote on today. So
correct.
It was just an information.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And go celebrate next week when it's all done.
End of the month, I will be in sunny Dominican Republic for a couple of days.
Not paid for by the school system.
Vacation, annual vacation. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any public comment on any legislation? I'm sorry. All right. Okay. Thank you. Oh, she gets. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You're not done. Sorry. Done with legislation, but not with the others. Okay. Item 5.06 is an information item. Storage and use of naloxone and other overdose reversing medication, policy JECB.
Yes, so policy JECB is on second reading after a 30-day public comment period. And with me today, I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Karen Sisko-Creel, Director of School Health.
Sally Egan, Assistant Superintendent for Student Support Services.
So there were no public comments, but we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the policy. And just as a reminder, this policy is a new policy as a result of legislation that passed in 2017. So it's state law mandating that each school system develop a new policy regarding the storage of naloxone and other opioid reversing medications.
Are there any board questions or comments? Is there any public comment? All right. We will, thank you, ladies. Move on to item 5.07, which is also an information item, second reading, administering medicines to students, policy JEC.
So again, policy JEC is on second reading after a 30-day public comment period. We did not receive any public comments regarding our proposed revisions, and we'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Okay. Are there any board questions or comments? Is there any public comment? All right, this one, as in with the other one, is now goes to third reading, and we'll vote on it
at the next meeting. Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.08 is emergency plans, policy EH.
So policy EH, emergency plans, is the Chief Operating Officer and the Office of School Safety are bringing this policy before you for first reading. This policy was last revised on March 5th, 2014. The updated policy has been revised to ensure compliance with State laws and regulations, as well as the State Fire Prevention Code. That language was added in there as required by state law. The policy will be posted on our website for 30 days for public comment, with Mayor Alex Shaknovich, Chief Operating Officer, and Joel Batten, Director of School Safety, and we can answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Are there any board questions or comments on this policy? No. Is there any public comment? So this will go on to the website for public comment?
Yes, it will be on the board website for a 30-day public comment period, and then we'll come back to the board for second reading.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Item 5.09 is policy IFA, pre-kindergarten and kindergarten programs. This is also a first reading.
Yes, correct. The Division of Curriculum Instruction is bringing policy IFA, pre-kindergarten and kindergarten programs before you for first reading. This policy was last revised on March 1st, 2016. The updated policy has been revised to clarify compliance with state laws and regulations where appropriate. With me is Michelle Batten, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, and we can answer any questions you may have. The policy will be on the board website for a 30-day public comment period.
Okay. Are there any board questions or comments? Any public comment? All right. We'll put it out there.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Item 6.01 is a review item, the Anne Arundel County Fiber Data Network Program. And we have a presentation.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Greg Barlow, and I'm the Chief Information Officer for AACPS. With me this afternoon is John Lyons, Cable Television Administrator for Anne Arundel County Government, who could also be referred to as the father of the County Fiber Network. AACPS has used the County Fiber Network for many years for our secondary schools, but as one can imagine, fast data connectivity from all of our schools and offices to the internet is very important. To ensure that connectivity for all schools, in 2015, the AACPS Office of Purchasing issued a bid for wide area network connectivity, which was won by Anne Arundel County Government using the county government's fiber data network. That fiber data network provides the infrastructure to connect all AACPS buildings to our 2 data centers. The bid was designed to leverage funding from the federal E-rate program and was awarded on low price based on 2 different speeds, 1 gigabit per second and 10 gigabits per second. The current configuration of the fiber data network is that all AACPS buildings are connected at the 10 gigabit per second speed, which provides extremely fast data transport. To further explain this collaborative venture, I will turn the presentation over to Mr. Lyons.
Okay, thanks to the school board and Dr. Lotto for having this, listening to our explanation of the latest version of the data network provided by the Anne Arundel County Office of Information Technology that serves Anne Arundel County Public Schools. The fiber data network serving the school system today is the fastest and most advanced in the nation. As we move forward to the 4th Industrial Revolution, it's clear that the technology will play a central role in nearly all aspects of our lives. Research by the World Economic Forum estimates that 65% of children entering primary school will find themselves in occupations that do not exist today. By 2020, it is estimated that there will be 1.5 million new digitized jobs across the globe, and at the same time, 90% of organizations currently have an IT skills shortage, while 75% of educators and students feel there is a gap in the ability to meet the skill needs of the technology-based workforce. To prepare the talent needed for the digital economy, education must adapt as fast as the demand for technology skills is growing and evolving. Insights into the influence of psychological, social, cultural, and environmental factors on how we learn are emerging from the new science of learning. This approach to understand education argues that in our complex and rapidly evolving world today, academic models based on interdisciplinary research are necessary to create effective teaching and learning environments. There is great debate on the path to take for education going forward, and we are not here to suggest that path, or are we qualified? This board and school administration is much more qualified to make these decisions. What is universally agreed among education and technology futurists is that any learning technology needs to sit on a robust data network infrastructure, a digital plumbing, with great capacity to interconnect to all parts of the school enterprise, being fully agnostic to the technology platform. This is what we have built. All schools and support facilities are fiber connected at 10 gigabits to hubs around a 61-mile, 1.3 terabit per second fiber ring. The difference between a megabit and a terabit is 1,000,000 times the speed. The funding for this over the years has come from grants from the cable operators, Comcast, Verizon, Fios, and Broadstripe, both as funding and a great amount of logistical and construction support from both Comcast and Broadstripe. Another grant was from the Broadband Technologies Opportunities Program, federal grant, and we also do E-rate funding. Anne Arundel County created a capital project starting in FY16 to complete this project by building a 500,000 feet of duct and fiber and upgrading the school's core network ring electronics and optics at each school site. The school system provided the advanced electronics at each school site to extend ultra-high-speed broadband into the classrooms. The Anne Arundel County Office of Information Technology and the Anne Arundel County Public Schools Information Technology has long had a deep collaboration on this endeavor, both with construction and the operation of the network. Thank you.
I should mention that Mr. Lyons will be retiring in a few months, and he leaves behind quite a legacy of building this network, which I believe was started in the mid-1990s.
1996.
So it was quite a vision to have back in those days to have come this far to build this out, and we'll be happy to entertain any questions the board might have.
Mr. Lyons, thank you. Thank you for your dedication and working with us, and that we are we are winning the fruits of your labors and your vision in that we have this access to this technology for our students and our staff. So thank you for all your work, and enjoy retirement.
I echo what Dr. Arlotto said, that you had the vision for this. I have to tell you that much of what you're talking about is Greek to me, and I'm trusting that y'all are the experts, and I see the fruits of it in our schools and everything coming through.
That it works.
So, yes, that it works. So thank you for having the vision 20 years ago to build this out so that our students can benefit from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other board questions or comments? So thank you very much. Item 6.02 is a review item, Cultivating Communities of Wellness, Collaboration Through Research, and we have a staff presentation.
Good morning. President Hummer, Vice President Gilland, Dr. Arlotto, and members of the board. My name is Robert Rutke, and I am a junior at South River High School, a wellness school of distinction. I recently had the pleasure of speaking with the Wellness Council while they visited South River High School. As a student in the Global Communications and Public Affairs Signature Program, I continue to look at ways students can make a difference for the environment. Before I share my story, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the members of the Wellness Council and its community partners. Please stand and be recognized for your continued support and effort on behalf of the students and staff of Anne Arundel County. As you can see, this team of individuals will all come together with one goal in mind: to create healthy students and healthy schools while they cultivate communities of wellness. With me today are Dr. Aaron Hager, Assistant Professor at the Maryland School of Medicine, Ms. Donna Hoyle, Manager of Web Services for Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and Mr. Dennis Kelly, Principal for Old Mill Middle School North. We have amazing partnerships within the Wellness Council, but what we do cannot happen without the support and leadership from each of you. On behalf of the Wellness Council, we thank you for this opportunity to share the work that we do and for allowing us to move forward and make a positive impact on the lives of students, staff, and the community. Well, as you can see on the screen before you is the Center for Disease Control's Whole School, Whole Community, and Whole Child model, representing the 10 components of a collaborative approach to learning and health. Not only is this the model for the CDC, but is the model adopted by Anne Arundel County Public Schools Wellness Council over 10 years ago. Next, I would like to share with you a short video showcasing how I have organized my classmates to improve the wellness of the Chesapeake Bay. But before I show the video, I would like to thank Lyndon Lehman for working every day to promote South River High School's signature program, Global Communications and Public Affairs. The signature program helped me tremendously by improving my networking and communication skills.
Hi everyone, I'm Rob Rutke, and I'm the founder of Clean Creeks Football Club, or CCFC for short. I grew up on the water. Boating and swimming gave me an appreciation for the Chesapeake Bay, but I knew it wasn't as healthy as it could be. In the creek right outside my house, I could see laundry machines, car parts, plastic, and glass bottles. These pollutants disrupt the ecosystem and are dangerous to people and animals. So sophomore year, I decided I wanted to improve the Chesapeake Bay any way I could. I figured if the pollution was so bad near me, it could be just as bad or worse in all other waterways of the Chesapeake Bay. I wanted to clean up these waterways, but I knew I couldn't do it alone. I had most of the resources, including multiple kayaks, paddle boards, paddles, and even a launch area. All I needed now were friends to work together to clean the bay. I didn't want cleaning up the bay to be a boring chore, so I created a competition format and reward system to keep it fun and increase productivity at each event. Clean Creeks FC was my solution. Here's a typical CCFC cleanup day. A kayak is issued to each member as well as gloves, trash bags, and a life jacket. After everyone is in the water, we start paddling together to the cleanup site. This site can be as close as 100 yards from where we launch or as far as 2 miles. Once we arrive, I start a timer for 2 hours and we start cleaning. Depending on where we go, we often have a motorized barge that we can put all our heavy trash in to save time. Members can scan the surrounding beaches, shorelines, and marshes for litter of any size and collect it. Members find anything ranging from cans and glass bottles to car parts and patio furniture. After the timer goes, all members get together and return to the headquarters to weigh the trash. A scale is used and weights of each team are tallied up. The group with the most trash earns a CCFC t-shirt or hat for each member. CCFC surprised me with how fast it grew and how many people appreciated our efforts. In just 13 events, we have managed to clean 1.93 square miles, covering almost the entire Road River and Ramsey Lake, and we have collected 5,486 pounds of trash from the Chesapeake Bay. Our efforts haven't gone unnoticed. I've been appointed Keeper of Cadle Creek by West Road River Keeper Jeff Holland and participated in an interview on Crab Radio. CCFC was even on the front page of the Capital Gazette newspaper. My goals going forward are to inspire other students to start their own CCFC chapters throughout the county, state, and nation. Chapters can be organized through high schools, private businesses, or public organizations and parks. Together, we can make all our watersheds stay clean. The waterways of the United States won't be clean unless we do something about it now. Start up your own branch of CCFC at your local school or park. As you pick up trash and make a positive change in our ecosystems, I encourage you to send me pictures, videos, and statistics to be posted on the website. If you have any questions, you can contact me at cleancreeksfc@gmail.com, view all our social medias at cleancreeksfc, and read the formal protocol listed on our website. Make a change today for the future of our planet.
That was great. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, board members and Dr. Arlotto. For the record, my name is Erin Hager. I'm an associate professor at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, and I'm going to talk briefly about Anne Arundel County Public Schools' most recent data from the Maryland Wellness Policies and Practices Project. This is a project that's been going on since 2012, and I had the honor of speaking to the Board of Education previously about this, I think about 2 years ago. So, next slide. Who's doing the slides? Thank you. So the project is a continuous quality improvement project that's led by the Maryland School Wellness Partnership, which consists of the Maryland State Department of Education, the Department of Health, all Maryland school systems, and the University of Maryland School of Medicine, which is my group of researchers. And our mission is to enhance opportunities for healthy eating and physical activity for Maryland students by helping schools and school systems create and implement strong and comprehensive written wellness policies. And it's a continuous quality improvement project because we collect data from schools and school systems. We then provide the data back to the schools and school systems through these data briefings. We also provide recommendations and support to the school systems through our partnership. And then we collect data again, and then we share the data back again, and then we provide more recommendations and support. And then what we'll talk about today is our third round of data collection, which took place in the summer of 2017, last year. And then we provided feedback to the school system's School Health Council this past January, I believe. I do want to point out that there were updated federal regulations that went into effect last summer after we collected the data. So the data I'm going to share with you today was collected before those regulations went into effect, so they can be considered a strong baseline moving forward to see how the schools are doing within your system in compliance with those new federal wellness policy regulations. So next slide. So I'm going to highlight some of the data from the school survey today. So this was a survey that was sent to all school administrators within Anne Arundel County Public Schools. And we asked that the person who oversees wellness at the school level, preferably an administrator, complete the survey. And as you can see in Anne Arundel County, we had a 100% response rate, which is really remarkable. The state average was 72%, so certainly much higher than the state average. And a lot of that really had to do with the efforts of the Deputy Superintendent, Monique Jackson, who's been an active member of the School Health Council and really wanted to get this data. So that was really wonderful. We really appreciate that. And it really, as I mentioned, gives the school system an opportunity to have a strong baseline look at how the system is doing before these federal regulations go into effect. So it's definitely very exciting to have a 100% response rate. Overall, 92% of the respondents were administrators. And of those that responded, 82% were aware of and had read their school system's wellness policy, which is also higher than the state average. And this really, I believe, reflects the work of the School Health Council in promoting awareness of the wellness policy and all the work that they've done. And of course, Jody and Christiana are the leaders of the School Health Council, and they've done a lot of work with awareness. So the next slide, again, highlights just a few bits of the data from the survey that we collected. These are all evidence-based wellness practices. Overall, Anne Arundel County Public Schools were on par with or exceeding the state average in these areas that we are highlighting. The first one, though, having a wellness team in place, which is a school-level team that oversees wellness activities and policy implementation at the school level, was lower than the state average, with 44% of schools reporting having a wellness team. And I know that this is something that the School Health Council is working on moving forward to try to enhance the number of wellness teams in schools. But with respect to the other areas, certainly the schools are reporting doing as well as or better than the state average. A few other things I want to point out is with the new federal mandates, there are a lot of areas that focus on public updates, and about half of the schools reporting having public updates in place or having a mechanism to encourage the public to get involved in wellness efforts, both exceeding the state average. And schools are also doing really well around physical activity breaks and integrated physical activity in the classroom, again, exceeding the state average there. And then lastly, we wanted to point out the marketing efforts in schools, which are another part of these new federal regulations. And so even before those went into effect, schools in Anne Arundel County were doing better than the state average in ensuring that only healthy foods were being marketed. So next slide. So I just want to finish by highlighting the call to action that we built for the state as a whole. So these are things that align with the new federal regulations and the data that we collected from the state, again, as a whole. And we shared this call to action with each school system. We always mention that each system has the opportunity to set their own goals. So these are just things that are recommended based on the data. But I know that these are things that some of which are things that the School Health Council will be focusing on: building wellness teams, communicating system level efforts to the schools, and then monitoring by collecting data from the schools, which is again part of these new federal regulations that came out last summer. So, so that's it for me. So, okay.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Hager, and thank you all for affording us the opportunity to share our continued effort to improve the quality and well-being of our students and staff. For the record, I'm Donna Hoyle, Manager of Web Services for Anne Arundel County Public Schools. Today, in celebration of Healthy Anne Arundel Month, we're unveiling the new Wellness Toolkit, now found on the aacps.org website. The toolkit was once housed internally on the AACPS intranet, is now accessible to the public. The site is located at www.aacps.org/wellness-toolkit. The toolkit was originally designed to showcase the 10 components of the whole school, whole community, whole child model created by the CDC, which is the blueprint for integrating health promoting practices in the school setting. We've organized the website based on the center circle graphic, which includes the 10 components. All of the pages on the site are based on this model and follow a similar format. The one we'll briefly highlight today is nutrition, environment, and services. Okay.
Just taking a little bit of time over there.
A little delay. Yes, internet connectivity issues. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully it'll come up. The page has been populated with various resources for students, staff, families, and communities. There are also FAQs with quick links to additional information and past and future goals and activities. Action items and action items and plan for projects implementation in the future. The remainder of the pages on the left have similar information and resources, so hopefully you'll be able to see those soon. It is live and working. The site's live on aacps.org, and we will have links on our main website from several different relevant places to give the site good visibility and ensure that it's easily accessible to the public. We are very excited to share this tool with everyone. That's it for me.
Good afternoon. For the record, I'm Dennis Kelly. I'm the principal at Old Mill Middle North. I want to close out by echoing words that Dr. Arlotto shares at virtually every chance he gets to meet with his principals, which is the work that we do is about the people. It's the faculty and staff that we supervise every day at the schoolhouse. It's the doors that we open every day for the students that come in. It's the parents and the community that we partner with to ensure they have the proper resources to raise their children to reach their fullest potential. But in terms of specific next steps, our goal is to take the 44% of schools that are currently operating at a wellness committee to get to 100% of schools operating. It is becoming increasingly aware for the principals of Anne Arundel County that we have a need to provide a school experience that is balanced and provides opportunities for wellness in addition to the curriculum that we teach every single day. We take that responsibility seriously, and you can see by the people that we have on our committee, we represent a lot of different experiences within Anne Arundel County, and it casts a very broad brush around what wellness means from school to school and community to community. So we look forward to that work. I want to thank Ms. Jackson for her leadership of the council and the work that we do from month to month. And we look forward to our next steps so that when we present a year from now, our data has improved and the schools of wellness are serving our community and serving our kids in a better state than we are today. So thank you for your time.
Rob, I wanted to say thank you. I was at the last wellness meeting when you presented your presentation there, and I actually contacted somebody and said, we need to get him to a board meeting. And they said, oh, we've already got him on the schedule. And I said, great, because I wanted everybody to see what you're doing. So great job.
Thank you.
Ms. Corbelak.
Thank you for the presentation. I really want to echo something that Sydney was saying earlier, that we've got this expectation that the school's going to fix literally everything that's going on out in the community. And I think the wellness toolkit especially is something that we need to share with parents and community members, because we can't do it all between 7 and 2 or 9 and 3. So thank you for putting that up on the web.
Are there any other board questions or comments? Is there any public comment? So thank you all for all your work.
And I know You four, thank you so much for all your hard work and your presentation. We've got two hiding behind the computer that have done an amazing amount of work on this over the years. Would you two introduce yourselves to our board, please?
My name is Christiana Walsh. I'm the coordinator of Health, Physical Education, and Dance and the co-chair of the Wellness Council.
Good afternoon. Jody Rissy, Supervisor of Food and Nutrition Services, and also I have the pleasure of working with this great team and a co-chair with Christiana and the leadership of Ms. Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done.
All right. Okay, item 6.03 is a review item, monthly financial status report and FY 2018 revenue and expenditure projections. Are there any board questions or comments? Okay. Is there any public comment? All right. Thank you, gentlemen, on that one. Item 6.04 is also a review item for various items. Are there any board questions or comments? Mr. Reinhardt.
Just like to echo my earlier concern about the number of responses we're getting for our bids. I know ultimately we can't cajole potential bidders to come out for the different procurement opportunities we have for them. But I just wanted to share some of the statistics for the folks watching at home. So for a $63,000 job for ceiling tiles or procurement of ceiling tiles, 277 bids sent, 4 respondents. For design build sheds for Phoenix Academy, it's approximately $50,000. 322 bids sent, 6 respondents. And then we get into the absurdity a little bit later here, page 11 of our document. Pre-qualified asbestos lead abatement, 621 bids sent, 8 respondents. Pre-qualified electrical, 621 bids sent, 15 respondents. I mean, it just goes on and on. I don't know what it's going to take for us to get the responses from more potential bidders, but I am a firm believer that if we have increased responses, that we would be able to realize greater savings, just as a result of just having the marketplace, just having a little more competition there.
All right. Are there any other board questions or comments? Any public comments? All right. The next board meeting will be Wednesday, April 18th at 7 p.m. The next policy meeting will be Wednesday, April 11th at 1 p.m. The next budget committee meeting will be Wednesday, April 18th at 5 p.m. Mr. Gilliland.
Thank you, Madam President. Before I close, make the motion, just want to wish a very happy birthday to Stacy Corbelak today.
Because everyone chooses to spend their birthday at a school board meeting. So.
Madam President, I move that the board enter into closed session to conduct collective bargaining negotiations or consider matters that relate to the negotiations.
All those in favor? Meeting is adjourned.